Hi y'all. So today I wanted to talk about some of the dorky things I do in my life because that's kind of fun and it's entertaining for everyone to see. Also, this tear, not the ones I pulled up, but this one. I get these every once in a while. Cowlicks, they're very annoying because they don't go away. And I had a bunch, like, I got rid of a lot of them, and then this one just sprung up and I don't know what to do about it. So you could stare at that all the time if that's what you're into. So dorky things I used to do. Well, there was this time in middle school where I wore solid colored shirts and I refused to wear anything else. This one has a logo. And that was very strange. I'm not sure why I did that. I think I claimed it was for simplicity, and I truly just didn't want to have to care about what I was wearing. I regret that slightly now because my friends still make fun of me for it, but I'll live. So I've done worse things, and I guess of all the strange things for me to do, that's not that bad. Um, Fashion is not really my thing, and it kind of bothers me when people say like something is not their thing because I think if you spend enough time on it, then you could actually kind of figure it out. Um, but I'm not very fashionable. I wear kind of just normal t-shirts all the time, and that's fine in California. That's not that bad. But when you go over to the East Coast, that changes because people dress so stylishly. I look around, I'm like, wow, it looks so like everyone looks so pretty, and then there's me, and I got like my Californian flip-flops, my t-shirt, and my shorts. And it's cold, and everyone stares at you. No, I'm kidding. They don't really stare at you. Nobody in the East Coast really seems to give a single crap that you are around. They're doing their own thing. But it is kind of weird. Like you're just like, well, at least for me, I was kind of like and it was a little strange to me going over to the East Coast for a while. Um, but now in California, I am absolutely loving the weather, the people, at least the attitudes of the people. They're a little bit friendlier in general. Sorry, that's really bothering me. And the like casualness, I think kind of the laid backness of it, I think it's really fun. So another one of the dorky things that I used to do in middle school and high school was I used to worry so much about grades. In fact, in seventh grade, it stressed me out so much that I couldn't sleep. Um, and by I couldn't sleep, I mean I wouldn't sleep for like 2 days at a time. Which, if that doesn't sound that bad to you, maybe you don't like sleeping very much. But I love sleeping. Well, and I love it a lot more now once I realize that sometimes your brain can just take that from you. You just can't fall asleep. So I read a lot, read a bunch of encyclopedias because I thought they were kind of cool. I like picking up information. It was really interesting. But other than that, it was horrible. Like you'd kind of like see things out of the corner of your eye and be like, panicking. You'd see weird shit. Oh well, I kind of got over that. But now I very much love sleeping. And if it sounds like I'm just kind of recounting my life to you, my newfound friends, that is not necessarily the point, although it does happen to work out pretty well. It's just because I'm trying to kind of get a good introduction across to you in this first week of videos. After that, I think I'll move on to kind of other things that I like to talk about. But a lot of anecdotes that I like to bring up are just because I think they're interesting and they color my character a little bit better. For instance, crap, there was something I was going to say and I can't remember it right now, but I was about to say it. That's the other thing is I'd like to make these as kind of unscripted as possible. I think that it gives you a much better window into who I am, but sometimes I will record them or re-record them if I screw up fantastically. The one thing is that I tend to forget that this application, Photo Booth on OS X, actually starts out in picture mode, and so I keep taking pictures of myself, which, while fun, is not the ideal. I've gotten better. This is the first video where I've not accidentally snapped a photo of myself and then switched to video, so I'm crossing my fingers that I don't have to re-record this. Dang, I'm trying to remember what that anecdote was. I wanted to talk about the fact that I wore plain colored shirts. I was a dork. I read encyclopedias, and that was really fun, but I couldn't sleep. That was the problem. Right. And so I was very stressed when I was in middle school, and by high school, like sophomore year, I started to kind of figure things out a little bit more. Freshman year, I was still very stressed. I was very concerned. We had this class, Honors English, And it sounds, I don't know if it sounds fancy. If it sounds fancy, it's not meant to be. It's really not a particularly fancy class. I was not a huge fan of the class. I thought it was unreasonably hard. Not that it was so hard it was impossible, but just the ways in which it was hard I thought were unreasonable. Um, and I also could not write at a level that I thought was appropriate for how well I could communicate my ideas via speech. So it was very frustrating as a course. But sophomore year, I started to adopt this philosophy, and I like this philosophy a lot. And it doesn't work for everyone, everyone's kind of different. But this is my kind of take on the world and philosophy of how to not be too stressed about anything. Not to be confused with not doing anything. Excuse me. But one of the things is, well, basically when you have a problem or a thing to worry about, there's two ways of looking at it, or two possible choices. One is you can do something about it. The other is you can't do anything about it. I would assume that those are mutually exclusive groups that include everything that you could do or not do about something. And there are obviously some kind of caveats and nuance to this, and ironically, I actually very much dislike the recent revival of a lack of nuance in people's arguments in general, but this is one of those things where I prefer to not have nuance because it makes it easier to stay motivated. So, call me a hypocrite, that's fine. The thing with the you can or you cannot do something about it is when you can do something about it, then, do it. And when you cannot do something about what you're worried about, then don't worry. There's no point, right? It's not productive. And so in neither case do you end up being worried, because if you can do something about it, then you do it and you stop worrying. If you can't do something about it, well, stop worrying. It brings me to, so one of my interests, one of the things I really love going and experiencing and listening to and sometimes participating in, is spoken word poetry. And my senior year, I started to kind of explore this a lot more. We went to a slam down in San Diego, and that was really fun. Went with a bunch of my friends, and it was kind of an awesome experience, but you can only go once a month. They only held them once a month, unfortunately. And I had the honor of hearing one of my favorite spoken word poets, Rudy Francisco. And I heard him, I feel like the name of the poem is Complaints or Complainers. Really great poem. If you get the chance, go look it up on YouTube. It's a wonderful thing to listen to. Rudy Francisco is also just a really good spoken word poet, and he's got some really good written poetry too. He's just a good poet in general. And so that poem, one of the lines in that is, and I am sure will mangle it because I'm trying to remember it, but it goes along the lines of, every year 2.3 million children in Africa die of thirst, so instead of arguing about whether the glass is half full or half empty, just drink that shit and stop complaining. And it is one of those lines that I always laugh at because it's so cool. I like that line a lot. And I bring that up because I think it aligns pretty well, kind of pun intended there, with my philosophy towards worrying and not worrying about things. So that's a little bit of rambling for today. Hopefully it was enjoyable. If not, I'm sorry. If it was, cool. And have a good night or day, your pick. Or don't, also your pick. And I will see you next time.